Have you ever noticed how a song you didn't like at first becomes a jam after a few listens? Or how a face in a crowd becomes more likable the more you see it? This isn't just coincidence, my friend. It's science. Our brains are wired in fascinating ways. One of those ways is a preference for things we encounter regularly. Think about it. Familiar things make us feel safe and secure. They are predictable in a world that often isn't. This natural inclination towards familiarity plays a big role in our tastes and preferences. It influences everything from the music we enjoy to the people we befriend. Intrigued? Let's dive deeper. There's a name for this phenomenon, psychologists call it the mere exposure effect. Catchy, right? This effect basically means that simply being exposed to something repeatedly can make us like it more. The more we encounter something, the more familiar it becomes. And guess what? Familiarity often leads to liking. It's like meeting someone new. The first time you meet, you might be indifferent, but as you see them more, talk to them more, you start to feel more comfortable, more connected. This, in essence, is the mere exposure effect in action. Think about your favorite song. Chances are you didn't love it the very first time you heard it, but it grew on you, right? The radio played it constantly. You heard it in the store, at the gym, maybe even humming from your neighbor's window. Each exposure made it a little more familiar, a little more enjoyable. The same goes for faces. Ever notice how people seem more attractive the more you see them? That's the mere exposure effect again. We tend to rate familiar faces as more likable and trustworthy even if we don't know the person well. Our brains love efficiency. They're always looking for ways to conserve energy. One way they do this is by creating mental shortcuts. When we encounter something familiar, our brains don't have to work as hard to process it. It's like taking a well-worn path instead of hacking through a jungle. This ease of processing leads to a pleasant feeling. Our brains interpret this feeling as a sign that the familiar thing is safe, good, and maybe even likable. And there you have it. The mere exposure effect in all its glory.